You know what confuses me about Nightreign? They took everything that people loved about Elden Ring and Dark Souls and made it trash. Thoughtful level design that was once laden with secrets and traps has now been removed entirely to be replaced by nothing of equal value. The novelty and discovery factor of going to new areas and seeing all these wacky new enemy types is completely gone because almost everything in the game is recycled. Enemies and bosses are no longer challenging to fight because they spend most of their time looking at another player, allowing you to simply just mindlessly wail on their back. Gone are the days of rewarding, skill-based, challenging gameplay, as now your success relies solely on the skill sets of the other two random players in your lobby. FromSoft took the best, most nourishing part of their formula, in other words, the breast milk, and watered it down into something that feels factory-made, like a Similac Advance. Something that leaves our babies sick and hungry for something real. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. So let's explain what Elden Ring Nightreign actually is real quick. Elden Ring Nightreign is like if Elden Ring and Fortnite had a poorly breastfed baby. You fly in on an eagle, R. Kelly style, and drop to the ground hard like Kobe Bryant, except you survive. Now you have a map full of things to visit, like chapels, which give you an extra flask. Churches, which have blocked doors and require a bit of extra effort. It says find crest, and I don't know, I haven't seen a single tube of toothpaste this whole game, so...
He's a fucking genius. He's a genius, he's just gotten us in.
Where did he find the toothpaste?
There was a crest up top, he just fucking kicked its ass.
There's also outposts that have bosses in them, and each boss you kill allows you to choose from a list of weapons or abilities that will enhance your character. Every 7 minutes or so, an Elden Ring closes in on the map, and if you get caught outside that ring, you get hurt, like in Fortnite. At the end of the first night, you all fight a boss together. Then the map reopens and the process repeats itself. At the end of the second night, you fight another boss together. Then you go into what is known as the Spirit Shelter. Let's go to the Spirit Shelter. Better than the homeless shelter, am I right?
Mm-hmm. That's real, man.
It is here where you have reached the end, and you're to fight the true, real boss. This is where everything you've done over the past 40 minutes comes to a head. So if you didn't spend that time wisely enough, then you probably won't have enough power to defeat the boss. Which is relatively likely when you have bad teammates, which most of the time, you probably will. But hey, we'll talk about that later. So yeah, that's Elden Ring Nightreign in a nutshell. But I do want to be clear about something here. Not everything in this game is bad. There is some pretty cool stuff. Like this. It's really cool that at random you get invaded by Margit.
Oh fuck, we're being invaded, wake up.
How cool would it be if that was another player playing as Marguerite?
That would be cool.
The game can lead to some interesting moments. Oh my god. Don't. No! I mean, it's pretty cool that you can stumble into a boss at random. It's cool that you can unlock characters, too. I really like that you can turn into an Animorph. Ooh, I'm a beast. They call me Jimmy. But it kind of sucks that you can't dodge in this form, so you need to be mindful of enemy attacks since you're so huge now. And since you're so big, that can make transforming a big risk, so at least that does require some thought. And what's cool about this too is if you're out of health flasks, you can use your transformation to get full health back. And yeah, this game is actually kind of fun with friends. Make him sit still.
Alright man, I'll just press that button. I'll press the, sit, dog, sit.
But that's because friends are fun, and fun friend does not equate to fun game.
But I don't want any lollygagging. We don't have time for that.
No, I hate lollies and I hate gagging. But other than White Light here, I didn't have any friends to play with because I told them all not to buy it. Now, I do think it's really cool that FromSoft did step out of their comfort zone to try something new and weird with this game. But you know what's cooler than trying something new? Making a good game. God, I'm such a bitch. You could argue that one of the most pivotal aspects of really any Souls-like game is probably gotta be the boss battles, right? I mean, they're so in-depth that a lot of the time you can usually spend hours on just one boss. This one's a little bit too big for me. It can take forever to learn all the attack animations, and you gotta practically get inside the guy's head. Am I right? Learn everything about the fucker to actually defeat him, to overcome that fear and flabbergastery that you first experienced when you ran into this boss. It was extremely nourishing gameplay. It was like getting the breast milk straight from the nipple. Mother Nature's straw.
Super cute.
Thanks. See, in Dark Souls and Elden Ring, you have to be so mindful about every input during a battle. If you mash the attack button, your character might swing his sword one too many times, which can result in getting you killed. So it's important to practice attack discipline. You need to keep a keen eye on your stamina, because if you deplete it with too many attacks, then you can't roll away or block, which will get you killed. But here, because the bosses have so much health and spend 66% of their time targeting other players, you don't need to worry about any of that stuff. Now all you gotta do is mash the attack button to the point where it kinda just feels like we're playing Monster Hunter now. So what used to be an engaging, skill-based, and extremely rewarding gameplay experience has now been reduced to something mindless. Case in point, standard bosses' movesets need not be learned, as they can be rinsed out with no effort thanks to the fact that you always have 2 teammates with you. But on the flip side of that, the difficulty is extremely inconsistent. You either rinse through a boss like it's nothing, or it's extremely spongy and it takes forever to kill. Another thing that sucks is almost all the bosses and enemies are recycled, which is bad enough on its own, but to make matters even worse, the bosses aren't utilized to their fullest potential. They've just kind of been plopped wherever. So, like, they get placed into these arenas or areas where they weren't ever designed or intended to be in. He's on bad spots. This arena, he was made for a different arena, and then they just fucking copy and pasted him down here. For example, in Elden Ring, there were these cat statue bosses, which were already recycled a lot throughout that game, but, you know, whatever. They were generally always placed in these smaller quarters, right? Because they were created to be fought in a tight space. But now, we're fighting them out in the open, which makes it far too easy to defeat since it was never meant to be in an environment like this. Now, its attacks are way easier to avoid. See, like this big area, this arena was way too big to fight that thing. Before, back in the good games, when you fought a boss, you were trapped in the room with it, which made the fight feel intense and intentional, because the only way you're gonna get out of that room was if you or the boss died. Or if you homeward boned, I guess. But now, most of the time, you can straight up leave the fight if you get too flustered. Holy shit, a second? Thankfully, I can leave the battlefield entirely and recuperate. And separate them. Also, if you run out of mana or Estus, you can just dip away from the fight at any point and go get everything refilled. Okay, I ran out of juices, magical juices, so watch this. I'll leave, I'll replenish. I'll just come right back to the boss. Classic Dark Souls. And now you can also push bosses out of their intended zones. Oh, so do you see what I mean now when I say that Nightreign completely strips away everything that made FromSoft's boss battles compelling? I hate that you constantly have 2 other players with you at all times in this game. I think it actually really hurt Nightreign. It definitely hurt me. You gotta wait for them to skip the cutscenes, which they never do. I guess they really want to watch this video of us getting picked up by an eagle all the time. Then when you get to the final boss, you've gotta wait for them to go to the boss door. Okay, so now we wait.
A few minutes later.
I'm here at the door. I'm ready to go.
2,000 years later.
Oh, there we go. Then they've got these abilities like stone walls or magic or summons, and they clutter up the battlefield and make it an absolute mess, which can at times make reading boss animations straight up impossible. Another problem we have here is the lack of communication. So check out this clip, right? Here we are fighting a boss that is far too high level for us to kill. I wanted to leave and go do something else, but these 2 insisted on staying and fighting. So I'm sitting at the back line, right? Making the most of it, poking damage at the boss, and then when they're inevitably killed, I shoot them with my bow and arrow to bring them back to life. Being more supportive than their own mothers, mind you. But of course, when I get downed, the favor's not returned. So I go through all that effort to kill them, heal them, and they're not gonna come get me? That, unacceptable. If that guy was here, if one of those teammates was here right now, I'd grab him like this around his throat, and I'd pick him up and take him to his right in front of his mom, and I'd say, look what you made. Look what you made. Do you know what your son did to me? He got me killed in Elden Ring Nightreign. You white, wet bitch. That's what I would do. And there's no way to communicate with these people, right? So if they want to waste precious time by fighting a boss that we're not ready to fight, there's not really any way to tell them otherwise. It's just wild to me that they have a game like this which kind of requires communication, right? But then not allow for the players to communicate. Well, you know, beyond gestures and little stone guy faces or whatever. And I get that that's how every FromSoft game works. And in every other FromSoft game, it does work. It's charming. Most of the time in those games, they want you to have this feeling of isolation, right? Of solitude and loneliness. But when you have two other players with you, that quiet introspection is gone. In the other games, when you summon another player into your world, you've both agreed on an unspoken social contract where there's this understanding between you that he's there to help you defeat whatever boss you need help with. And once that boss gets killed, you'll all part ways, never to see each other again. Also, when you summon another player, the boss in question does more damage and has a lot more health to compensate. This is an unmentioned but agreed upon contract between the player and the game, and that's fine. It makes sense, it works. But what that means is constantly being stuck with two other players in Nightreign means that the boss health is, in some cases, absurdly spongy, and I don't like that. It makes the fights get stale. Sometimes they can take up to 5 minutes or more. It's like they should have called it Elderly Ring. See, in prior games, Jolly Cooperation was a contract that I willingly entered. But here, it is a contract that you are forced into. You're trapped with these strangers for 40 minutes, yet you can't tell them a single word. See, there's always one guy or something who goes off on his own, and he's not with us. Meaning, we're killing bosses, we're getting souls, we're getting these upgrades from killing bosses that he's not getting. He's dying. He's losing levels because he's dying. So when we get to the final boss, he's going to be under leveled. He needs to stay with us, and there's no way to tell him to do that. Now, to stress how pivotal communication is in this game, look at this clip right here.
I want a smithing stone, but you can't drop anything.
I can drop you a smithing stone.
Well, if you can do that, that'd be great.
Here, watch. Here you go.
Wow, you're a fucking legend. Thank you.
My boy Whitelight needed some upgrade materials, and thanks to the simple fact that he could tell me that, I was able to provide him with what he needed. What's worse is if you have teammates that aren't all on the same page or are lacking in skill, which is quite common online, well then, you just wasted 40 minutes of your time, because you're probably not going to be able to kill the boss. I hate that shit. When the teammate is like, hey, I have aggro. I'm gonna go ahead and sit next to the guy while the other guy revives the guy. I went to revive you, and he's like, no, I know what I'm doing. There goes 40 minutes.
Yeah, baby, Nightreign.
You like that?
I don't hate it. I don't particularly like it.
I also experienced frequent connection drops, meaning that you have to go back to the main lobby and then wait to find more people and rewatch that 45-second cutscene that no one ever seems to know that they can skip, and then we can finally thank the bus driver and soar into the map, just in time for the other two players to disconnect again. So now, the process starts all over again. We get to rewatch this beautiful cutscene. You gotta rewatch this cutscene all the time. Ooh, I hate this game. Ooh, I hate it. There was once an entire day where I wasn't even able to play this game because I couldn't find other players in matchmaking. And so it was on this day where I found out that you could actually go in and play this game solo, which I did. I think it's cool that the option to play this by yourself is here. But I quickly realized that this game was designed around having 3 players at a time. Bosses are surrounded by ads or come in sets of 3. You don't level up as much because there aren't 2 other players clearing ads. Now, it's certainly doable, right? Little Aggie did it, a couple other people did it, and with practice, any of us could do it as well. And if I genuinely enjoyed playing this game, solo runs are where I would be spending the majority of my time. But I don't. However, what's good about playing alone is you're no longer encumbered by the game's terrible network issues.
I've never seen such FPS.
Ooh!
What?
I wonder what killed me. If there was more than 1 frame per second, I might have known. So first of all, the meta progression isn't all that great. Let's take a look at a couple of good roguelikes that actually have excellent meta progression first to get a better idea of where Nightreign went wrong. You gotta enter the Gungeon, which has you earning currency to buy new guns and passive abilities, which have a profound effect on gameplay. Rogue Legacy has you buying all types of upgrades in between runs, which make your character more powerful and make you able to make more progress with each run, which makes that game, and others like it, extremely addicting. Or RoboQuest, which has you unlocking new characters, new areas, and new abilities like a grappling hook, a double jump, and a jetpack, which makes the gameplay itself evolve and deepen. RoboQuest is amazing. But in Nightreign, the endgame rewards don't feel meaningful at all. You get these little relics that have such minuscule effects on your characters, like +3 mind, +2 physical attack, slight stamina recovery with each successful attack. These are average at best, and for the most part they have little to no effect on gameplay and aren't felt all that tangibly by the player. The currency that you get at the end of a run either isn't all that enticing because you only use it to buy emotes and other subpar relics from the jar man at the store. The most valuable thing you can get for yourself is this little goblet that allows you to equip 3 more runes or amulets. That I appreciate. I also appreciate that you can unlock characters. I think that's really cool. I like how different all the characters feel. I'm good with that. I think that's great. But for the most part, it doesn't ever feel like any of your characters are progressing, which is essential for a roguelike. And what's even more essential is variety. In a good roguelike, each run is supposed to feel somewhat different, right? You want it to be that no 2 runs feel the same within the first, I don't know, let's say 10 to 30 hours of gameplay or so. So like in Gungeon, different weapons and passives change the way gameplay feels. Same for RoboQuest. And in Balatro, different jokers make each run feel wholly unique by completely changing how you fill out your deck and which cards you choose to play. But in Nightreign, nearly every run feels identical.
This is shit. Take us somewhere else.
It's different every time, isn't it?
Not meaningfully.
No, not meaningfully.
Oh.
I mean, like...
I genuinely don't know how much changes. Are we going to this new market?
Yeah, almost nothing changes. The environments all look so samey. The only difference you have between runs is that bosses and chapels and things like that are in a different place than they were before. But you're always going to see the same exact set of bosses or enemies. They'll just be in different spots. And so after about 3 hours, which is being generous, it starts to get tiresome. And this is, I think, one of the game's biggest pitfalls, because having each run feel unique is where a lot of the replay value comes in with a roguelike. But even entirely different areas like the hot lava region don't differentiate themselves enough, and it all ends up feeling so stale so quickly. Now, there were moments where I definitely had fun with Nightreign, and I genuinely appreciate and respect FromSoft's attempt at trying something new. I genuinely do. But with terrible rewards, bland progression, and repetitive runs, there's really not a whole lot of reason to play this game. But then on top of that, with the dumbed down boss battles that have been stripped away of all their depth and excitement, and the multitude of frustrations and pitfalls that come with being forced to play with 2 other people, all that stuff and more just makes this game end up feeling like an absolute insult of your time and a waste of $40. And what makes it sting the most is, I think that taking the Souls-like formula and turning it into a roguelike could actually work so incredibly well. There is such a profound potential there for an amazing game, but I don't think they put all their hands on this deck. You know what I mean? It feels like something they got a nice small little team together, slap it up and get it shipped. Like they had this weird little idea and they thought, hey, why the hell not? Let's do it. And so I think this could work if it were more traditional, right? Like instead of having it be an open world every single time, it should be a series of confined, well-constructed rooms or arenas. It needed to be more focused. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe for more, and check out the Patreon. I'm rolling out a whole bunch of new features on there, like edited stream clips and some more additional content. And then every dollar that I get from the Patreon goes right back into the channel. So if you want to see the quality of the content continue to improve, you may be thinking about joining the Patreon or becoming a member. Alrighty, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.